They're putting this mask on. They take it off, put it on, they get seen in public. They're not in public, they don't have it on. And what does monkey see, monkey do? What do we do? Well, there appears to be something going on, so maybe I better wear it. We don't press in anything, we don't look at anything different, we just do it. Because the truth doesn't matter. And that's how we know their psychological warfare is very effective and it's going very strong. So, we've just been under this for the last 7 months. What do you think? No. This has been going on for a long, long time, right? In fact, the elites have a 4-step program how you can destroy, 4 steps how you can destroy a free-loving country into tyranny. You know what it is? Here it is. First, you demoralize a country, then you destabilize a country, you create a crisis, and then you implement the new normal. Anything sounding familiar at all? All right. So this is the master game plan here. It's been going on for generations. You don't demoralize and destabilize a country. And it's not just the United States. I'm talking about countries around the world. This is a worldwide psychological warfare. And so when you destabilize, you demoralize a country, the third stage, I mean, I could spend a whole hour talking about how they've been doing it here in the United States. I'm sure most of you are probably aware, you've seen it with your own eyes, and you cry at nighttime seeing it happen, right? But let's focus on where we are presently. Right now, we are actually in the crisis. Enters COVID-19. Like I said, I've been monitoring this for 30 years. I didn't realize, it was very clever, I didn't realize the creative crisis was going to be used in healthcare. I was surprised to see that COVID-19, first when it started rolling out, I was like, whoa, this is really happening. Could this be it? Could this be the crisis now? We're in the crisis stage? I interviewed Teal Swan. She's a spiritual leader in her circles, and she told me, I interviewed back in March when this first started going down. And she said that, Tim, it's like a car crashing into a wall at 100 miles an hour. And the car's flipping up in the air, it's rolling, and it's rolling, and it's rolling, and it hasn't landed. That's kind of where we are when it comes to this crisis. We don't know what's going to happen because the car hasn't landed yet. We don't know. A lot of folks, unfortunately, you can say who they are, a lot of folks who are just like going along with the compliance aspect, wearing the mask, doing what they're being told. In their minds, in all fairness, in their minds, they think when this car lands, it's going to land in a nice haystack or land perfectly there and they can drive away like they were before they came, right? But we know when a car gets in a car accident, it's rolling. When it finally lands, it's not going to be pretty, right?
Yeah.
And most of them think that we're like in this new normal now. I don't believe it. I think we're still in the crisis. I think the new normal is much more sinister. A lot of folks think that, well, the masks and the social distancing, we've got to get used to it. This is how it's going to be. Flu season's come around, we're going to have to manage that. I think all that's going to go away. The mask, all that's going to go away, I believe, when they implement the blackmailing of the vaccine, where you can't go to shopping, you can't go on an airplane unless you show them your vaccine. But then once you get your vaccine, why do you need to have a mask, right? So the new normal I see is worse. And this is what I believe what's coming very soon, and why we need to get our bold plan in action now.
Yes.
That's the deep state surveillance. I'm talking about facial recognition, drones. Now we know what, drones take our temperature. If we go down this tyranny road, tyranny has a way, unchecked, it will double down.
That's right.
Why not weaponize the drones? We're killing people in other countries. Why not do that to our own American people if we lost our government, right? You got the cell phones. They're your spies. They're telling everyone else what's going on in your life, right?
Yeah.
The 5G towers rolled out everywhere in our school systems, on our school buses. While we're in our homes locked down, they've been putting that through. So this is a real, new normal that it's there, it's been implemented, but it hasn't really been overtly shared, or at least put into full practice, because the car hasn't landed yet. We're still wondering what's going to happen. A lot of people waiting on different events to occur. But what I consider really the most dangerous, or at least insidious in the sense of cruel, to the individual, is the ground game they're doing of deception. This is what I consider to be the most problematic in the future. It takes, 66 to 90 days to create a new habit. Good habit or bad habit. That's when your new neural pathways, you lay it down, and that period of time, 90 days, you got a new habit, right? How long?
Been wearing masks. Can you hear me?
That's
You guys there? Get the one up there. All right. Can you hear me? I'll speak a little loud. How long do you think?
Can't hear you.
Hold on.
Russian, there it is. All right. You can leave it up here just in case it goes out again.
It'll start
Okay,
screaming.
I'll put it over here. So if it goes out again, I'll just move the mic, okay? All right. So how long have people been wearing, how long people wearing masks and social distancing? Since March, how many, like 7 months? 7 months? All right, I'm just gonna go to the mic here. All right, there we go. All right, back in action. So how long? What, 7 months now? So they're past the neural pathways. They know what's going on. So when they wake up in the morning, and and here, who has been wearing a mask since March? Raise your hand. See,
Nobody raised their hand.
only once or twice when I had to go to the hospital with someone and they wouldn't let me in, but that's about it. But when you're not, see, you can't understand this because you have not conditioned yourself. But when they wake up in the morning, they're normal. They feel more comfortable putting a mask on and staying far away from somebody. That's what their new normal. That's what their normal is. That's where they're conditioned to. This is the programming going on. And where 7 months earlier, their normal was hugging people and was, of course, breathing full oxygen. And I'll give you a great example. I used to be a mental health counselor at acute psychiatric ward back when I got out of college in Tampa Bay. And this one lady came by from an organization that was really messed up. She was telling me all about it. I'm not going to mention its name, but you can probably figure it out. It's clear for her. And she was telling me how horrible this organization was, where they would blackmail judges and they would intimidate FBI agents. But where the stuck out with me was the fact that she told me that how she would incorporate new recruits into their system. And so they're very vulnerable to begin with because it's a self-help organization. And so they would have them do meaningless tasks like touch this wall, pick this piece of paper up, touch this desk, touch the refrigerator, and they do it in sequence, and they'd have to repeat it. And if they missed anything, they'd have to start all over again. And it would sometimes take hours of these meaningless tasks, hours and hours and hours, sometimes days. So, and she explained to them that it's there to help their concentration. You have better concentration, you'll be able to do more self-help. But she told me that was just what they told them. It was a compliance scam. She said they had them do all these meaningless tasks, so when it came to the more meaningful tasks, like signing their house over to this organization, they were more likely to do this. This is the same process going on with the mask and the social distancing. As what's the next higher, more meaningful? Perhaps maybe take your vaccine, be a good boy, be a good girl, take your vaccine. It's a program that's continuing on and on and on, and I've never seen anything so effective. It is so effective from the marketing of the social means of stay home, stay safe, right? Which is all pre-planned before COVID ever rolled out. So on top of that, you mix that in with the cognitive dissonance, and I'm not sure if you know what that is, but it's basically when your behavior's not matching your belief system. So you may think, well, I'm not going to wear a mask, but you're wearing a mask, you're also wearing a mask, and just in case I need to wear a mask. And you have this internal conflict, this dissonance inside you. And it causes so many issues. I mean, anxiety, depression, anger, shame, all of that. And I truly believe why this is horrific, but why the suicide rate's so high these days. In fact, it only shows it's so bad. Anybody know somebody who tried to kill themselves or killed themselves in less than months who normally you don't think they would have? No. Raise your hand, honestly. I just want to know if everybody. Wow, look at the hands. Just turn around, look at the hands.
That's amazing. Wow.
That is just incredible. And this is what the programs are doing and how they're doing it. And don't think that these elites know how effective cognitive dissonance is. They know it destroys the human soul. And these are the ones we're implementing as the fox in the hen house. So let's talk about the fox in the hen house. Who are these abusers and tormentors? Well, they come with many different names. Banking cartel, the cabal, Sabbateans, you got New World Order, you name it. There's all different names. And what do we know about them? Well, maybe 13 families controlling, managing, influencing this world. All different names. But we hear a lot more about their puppets that they use to get their job done. You know, the Faucis and the Gates and the Soroses, right? But even with all that, and knowing their agenda, I don't think it's as important to know all the details, even of all the names. I mean, a lot of you folks who go down the rabbit hole kind of know a lot more probably than I. But I don't know if that's important, their agenda. What's more important, I think, is our agenda. I think if we focus on what we're going to do, and we will today, you're going to walk out with a plan. You're going to have a real solution that you can implement today to go out that possibly can be done very peacefully. And also, yes, there you go. Also, that you can implement and it can be a worldwide change. And you can see the logic of it in just a little bit. But these, I don't think it's important, but even with that saying, it's not important to our agenda, we still see, nevertheless, we still see them managing outcomes of all elections. They usually have their guys in each one, right? One wins, one loses. And not just in the United States, but around the world. Let me ask you a question here. Who here believes, and just be honest, okay? Who here believes after, less than a month from now, after this election, if whoever wins, if one person wins or another person doesn't win, who believes that the elites, the cabal here, are going to take all their toys and go home if their guy doesn't win, they risk it? All right, no one? You sure? I mean, got a lot of Trump fans here. Really? No one? Everyone? Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that because I never, after I see what's really going on, especially the psychological warfare, I never put all my eggs in one basket anymore on anybody who's elected. I don't care how great they look on television, how nice they shake my hands, whatever it may be. I just think that we've just been fooled one too many times, right? Mm-hmm. You know, and when you really look at it in perspective here, these guys, you know, the banking cartel, they could literally create money out of thin air at the drop of a false flag. Look what happened, what, 6 trillion just recently out of nowhere, covered other tracks all those years, just recently. It's crazy. These guys have controlled and managed presidents, not only in the United States, but around the world, for decades. They murder them, right? Yep. These guys, for generations now, you talk about pertinacity, for generations, these guys have been instilling their programs, blackmailing, killing, murdering, doing whatever they need to do to get control of collectively, creating organizations, whatever they're lying, deceiving. All this for generations to get what they want. They put sustainable development in every city for the most part in the United States and around the world. Their plan for the New World Order, right? Do you really think that they're going to just roll the dice and say, hey, if we lose in a month from now, we're just going to have to wrap it up? It just doesn't make sense. You understand what I'm saying? Something just doesn't make sense to believe that. And I know a lot of people want some superhero to come in and save us. I do, I get it. But I just don't think I think that's being a little naive. And if we are being naive, when we realize it, on the next false flag, look how effective this last false flag was. Everyone's still caught up into the matrix right now, for the most part, except perhaps here, and listening to us around the world. It is something that we need to look at as a real perspective, that what if all the rioters, these paid Soros rioters, these fake communists trying to play around and motivate people, what if that's part of this next false flag? What if after the election there is another one that's much more extreme than COVID-19? That people are willing to give up their rights for safety, even further safety. And the rioters are part of this false flag game being played. So we can't protest, anyone can. We can't even come to meetings like here and share our thoughts because it would be considered illegal and you could be put into jail. What if this is where we're going? What if this is, I'm not saying it is, and I hope it's not. I hope everything changes after this election, I really do. It'll be sure easier on me, but I just don't believe it will. It just doesn't make sense.
All those people
with what I know. And once again, we're in this David Icke problem, reaction, solution, right? Playing the games again. I mean, PSYOP on top of PSYOP. Who knows what to believe? And we'll get into the plan where it's foolproof. We can't get fooled again anymore. But the reason for these side games is very simple. And there's only a few of them, and there's billions of us, right? But they're so good at it. It's divide and conquer. They're so good at dividing and conquering. Look what they've done. Blacks against whites, Democrats against Republicans, women against men, gays against straights. You know, it goes on, rich against poor. Now it's the healthy against the unhealthy. They will keep dividing us keep dividing us every year. Some new one will come, as long as it's working and they have a mandate for it. As long as we keep hating each other, they will keep in control and move us forward. Are you getting the picture? Let me hear it. You get the picture? Exactly. Right? And let me tell you something. What I've been researching on these jokers, I think jokers, very scary psychopaths, many of them, is that they're so paranoid. That's why we're going into surveillance state. They're so paranoid, so scared of us being the organized truth. The organized lie will always win over the unorganized truth, no matter what, every time. I don't care how many numbers are on either side. And they know it, and it's by design. But they are scared, not of us as individuals. They're scared of us as an organized truth. That's scary to them. And they will destroy the majority of the world, I believe, if they have to, if we ever did unite on that level. And guess what? They have the technology to do it. You know why? Because we're building it for them. Yeah. 5G, vaccines, wars that we go to a drop of a false flag. And we're doing it for them. And it's very effective. But that's okay. Why is it okay? Because we know their weakness. We know their only weapon they have is division, to divide. So what's going to unite us? What's going to unite us across the oppression that's going on right now, the division, the dividing and conquering? What is it going to be? Well, it's very simple, obvious. Freedom. Freedom. What can we all agree on? Even though we're all concerned about the rioters, what's going on, but you gotta remember, these are demonstrations. They're paid rioters, paid people to activate catalysts by George Soros and these part of the New World Order gang, right? This is for a reason, not the reason what we think it is, I don't believe. Even the rioters themselves are no different than us. They want freedom of expression. They want freedom just as much as you do. They're just misguided, manipulated, paid off, whatever it may be. But when it boils down to it, they want freedom just like we want it. We all can agree on that. Sovereignty, liberty, we can, right? So what's the internal armor we need to have? What do you think we need to have to move forward if we're going to fight for our freedom? Jesus, a very good one. But also, what Jesus brings to the table is courage, does he not? Courage. Do you have the courage to actually fight for your freedom? Maybe even die for your freedom?
Yes.
I'm talking about forefather courage. Anybody here from New Hampshire?
Yes. That's right.
New Hampshire right there? Live free or die. You can't get any more direct than that, can you? Live free or die, right?
Yeah.
And that's the question we all should be asking ourselves. I hate to say that, but why shouldn't we? What are we willing to die for? Who are we willing to die for? I interviewed Thomas Campbell years ago. He's a NASA physicist and author. And he gave me his definition of it. And I thought, it's just always stuck with me. I'm like, that's such a brilliant way, a simple way of putting it. He says, courage to me is being scared to death, but doing it anyway. You know? Absolutely. Doing it anyway. You think heroes weren't scared to death? You can't become a hero unless you're scared to death. That's the criteria. Just so you know that. All right? All right. Let's get into the plan here. Now, I want you to put your thinking caps on. This plan is simple, but yet it's committed. You've got to commit to this. But it can happen, and I want you to use your imagination to see it being rolled out, how easy it is. Don't wait on me. Don't wait on anybody. I want you to go back to your hometown, and you can implement it immediately. And here's the first part. The first part is proactive, all right? We as sovereign citizens will meet with our fellow citizens weekly in a public place in our local town where we live. Critical. Where you live is where you lay your hat. We don't have to move to Costa Rica or New Zealand, okay? We draw the line here in our town now. We don't have to go anywhere. We got the numbers. We will become the organized truth now. You can't touch the organized truth. It's impossible. I don't care how many PSYOP games they want to play. The purpose is not to overtly protest, but a silent protest to show the growing numbers of citizens in public, so your town sees the growing numbers of citizens in public, who consistently appear for non-compliance if their constitutional rights are not being honored. You follow me on that?
Yeah.
You with me on that? All right. Secondly, and this is the reactive part. This is if they're not listening to us, okay? We as sovereign citizens will give and receive commitments to one another to be there for each other if our government agent or agent shows up in our homes or our business to unconstitutionally harass or arrest us or our family. You get that?
Yeah.
Okay. Proactive, reactive. Two parts of this. We're going to get into the specifics now of it. I believe for it to succeed, it needs to be an inclusive message. One message. It can't be anything else. It has to be about sovereignty, liberty, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It has to be about our freedom. You can't get involved in local politics. You can't be a Democrat or Republican. It can't be a Trump rally. This has to be an inclusive rally that includes everyone. Everyone.
Right on.
Sexual orientation, genders, race, includes everyone. Only if they show up for the main reason, only reason, is they want their individual rights honored. Okay? If they show up for the individual rights honored, that's all that matters. We don't have to agree with people's lifestyles. In fact, that's what we're fighting for, freedom, so we don't have to agree with people's lifestyles, right? Come on. So you make that one message. You show up once a week for 1 hour at the same place in your town. Make it a public place. It could be your park. It could be your town square. Whatever it is. You show up for 1 hour. And everyone who makes, then when they show up, they make that commitment to you in writing with their names and addresses. Hey, if you're ever in trouble, neighbor, I will come to your house and I will support you. And you say, well, that seems a little extreme, Tim. You know, I mean, we're so, you know. Do you see what's going on? Anybody see in Ventura, California, what the health department was saying that they potentially could come in if your child is positive for COVID-19, they can come remove your child without you, take them to some unknown place. Come on, is that constitutional?
No.
But this is stuff they're talking about. Tyranny unchecked will only grow. And I'm telling you, we can't put our eggs in one basket for somebody to make the difference. Those days are over, man. That boat sailed. It's on us now, okay? And rightfully so. We've been the absent landlords anyway, right? So what do you do? What do you do in these meetings? You talk about freedom for that hour. You read the Constitution. You get together and decide what's the non-compliant support that we would give to our neighbor. What's the criteria we want to be? What are the protocols going to be? Are we going to have alerts? We send 50 people over based on this type of thing. We send 1,000 people over based on this type of thing. Whatever it is. You talk about what the rights are being breached in your community. This is local. This is town. What's going on in your community? You don't bring it to a national level. You bring it to a local level. Your town, where you live, where you know the people, right? And you talk about, you fly in guests. You get Del Bigtree to come in and do an hour presentation for you. You get anybody here to do that. You talk, you have fun, you play music. You create an environment where it's very safe. You talk about freedom. Who do you invite? You make a commitment to each other. Every week you come back, you bring one new person. That means you're doubling your size every week. You want to bring 3, 5? Bring the kids. See democracy in action? Great. We've got to re-engage. We've got to re-engage again, folks, in our community to hold our government officials accountable. That's the only way this is going to ever change. And we're going to do it in numbers. Lots of numbers for 1 hour. And they'll see that. Every time you show up in that public place, they'll see it growing. And they'll see it growing. And they'll see it growing. The proactive part, the preventative part here. Who else do you invite? Invite your police officers, invite your mayors, invite your pillars of your community, invite your ministers. They may or may not come because they got a thumb on them right now. A lot of them do. Psych thumb, a psychological thumb, as well as a threatening thumb. A lot of them are being manipulated right now. Scared to death of losing their jobs if they don't follow these unconstitutional laws. It's okay if they don't come now. It's not about only building the numbers. It will come naturally. But those folks will eventually come. Why? Because tyranny unchecked, their rights will start being diluted. They will start seeing their rights being weakened. And they'll start showing up. Another false flag, people will start showing up more and more. All you gotta do is hold the light. Hold that weekly light for people to know where to go when you know what hits the fan. Don't get involved in the politics. Don't worry about, oh, who's gonna be the mayor, who's gonna run for office, all that. That can be a separate type of organization, all right? This is not about getting involved in your local government. You can do that separately, but this meeting is not. I call it like a lighthouse meeting. It's just to talk about freedom to get citizens, private citizens, re-engaged in holding their government officials accountable and letting them see the silent protest of it. All right? Get uniters. Your leaders got to be uniters, not dividers. Very important. You want to move the egos out. Put the egos to the side. If somebody could do a better job than you and you started it, hand it off to them. Focus on building numbers. Focus on getting social media out there, get people in. And it's a silent protest, meaning that, we have the Second Amendment rights to have weapons. But this meeting is about safe, freedom, love, fun, right? So you want that in atmosphere and that enjoyment for that hour of time that you're there in your local town and your community. Now, let's switch to the second part. The sovereign citizens will give and receive commitments here. This is what you're doing every week. You're signing up new people every week. They're writing their addresses, their phone numbers. And don't be paranoid about giving your address, phone numbers. They all know it. Siri, Alexa, they all know where you live. They all know what's going on already, okay? Deep State knows what we're saying right now. So those vans out there, who knows what's going on, right? Come on. We're past that because in numbers, it doesn't matter what they know. They're only effective with their surveillance if we're divided, okay? That's it. That's the only weapon they have, I swear to you. That's all they got, is dividing us. And support will come in many faces, too. You'll have some people who will be willing to do these non-compliant supports where you show up in the neighborhoods, and some won't. I understand that. Because, hey, it's scary. It's scary getting between authority and a neighbor. It's scary, right? It can be. It can be dangerous. You can get fined, arrested, you can get bullied, intimidated. This is where the courage kicks in. This is where the courage kicks in. Are you guys with me so far? You're following me?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Establish your protocols. Establish your protocols. High-level alerts. Like I said, what determines a constitutional breach? How many people do we want to send to that neighbor? Have people vet out what's legitimate. Is it a government agent or some neighbor harassing somebody else? You vet it out before you get on your telephone string there, you start the telephone tree, you start calling people. You have people who vet out legitimate situations. Build it and they will come. You don't have to have large numbers right away. You don't. One person just needs to show up in these weekly meetings. You got to create the lighthouse. You got to be there for them. Right now, there's nowhere to go. Where do we go? We come here. We have an organization. Red Pill Expo is a beautiful place to be, but it's not an everyday, it's not every week experience. In your town. Our Constitution, I know you all know this, but our Constitution is an idea. It's an idea. It's only as good as an idea if it's supported by the majority of the people. Look at this as a civic weekly duty to keep that idea alive. What a lesson to teach your kids, huh? And it's not too late, I promise you, it's not too late. It's not too late. This is a blueprint. I don't have all the answers. This is a blueprint. You're going to have to put the meat on the bones in your hometown. You're going to have to go back and you're going to have to put some thought into how you want this in your hometown. Around the world, not just in America. You're going to be able to, and you'll be able to do that. And like I said, it is scary. It can be scary. But you're fighting for your future here, your children's future. I'm telling you, what we're seeing in this matrix now is nothing. It's much worse what's coming. And I don't want to be a naysayer, but I'll tell you what, I'm a pragmatist at heart. And I know the game being played, for the most part. We gotta prepare now. You walk out of here today, you can start organizing immediately.
Yeah.
And it's a force to reckon with. I want you to imagine this. Walk with me for a minute here. Imagine this. Your child gets COVID-19 and the health department said, the local health department said they're coming to take your child away. Say that gets passed. Say you're in Ventura, California. Where California, we're likely to do it, right? And that can easily get through. Another false flag, something extreme happening. 5G could be wiping people out, and they're saying it's COVID-20. We have no idea. And all of a sudden, they're coming to get your child. And there's 2 or 3 officers. And all of a sudden, 50 people show up at your house. How about 1,000 people show up at your house?
Oh, wow.
You think the police officer's going to have to get another game plan? Yeah. And then, as they get another game plan, 10,000 people show up at your house. And as you're growing these numbers in your town, you're looking at your adjacent towns who are doing it, and you start combining with them. And you start saying, hey, you still have your weekly meetings in your own hometown, but your support meetings, your support meetups, where you're supporting your neighbor, you combine those numbers. So now you have a county of 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 people potentially could show up at your neighbor's house, not mattering what their color of skin is or what their sexual orientation is, because it doesn't matter. What's the only thing they need to be concerned about?
Freedom.
Freedom. That's it, right? Keep organizing, communicating with everyone. Look out now on a county to a state level. Imagine this. 1 million people showing up at your house. And trust me, if they're coming for you, then they're coming from someone else too as well. But they also know now that not only 1 million people will be at your house, but 1 million people will be over your other house because you made the same commitment to everyone as they made to you. And you're going to honor your commitment, because that's how we get out of this mess. How long will tyranny stay? It's a worldwide movement right now in local towns where people are committing to each other to be there to protect their rights. How long will the local governments and national governments feel comfortable to come in to take over and go against people's constitution? How long do you think it'll be? You can't.
Nope.
It falls apart. Can you see that? Can you imagine that? It falls apart. It's easy on that level. Guys, at some point, I get it. We're all going to go home. We have our jobs. We got to take our kids to soccer class, soccer camp. We got to do this stuff. But at some point, if we don't check this and check it quick, you're not going to have the convenience to worry about whether your kids make it to soccer camp or not. You're going to be fighting for your life.
Yep.
We're going to be fighting for our lives if we don't put this in check quick. And I believe we can put it in check, and this could be the most peaceful way we could do it, without ever picking up a weapon. By just showing up for our neighbors,
Yep.
for each other, not relying on any president, anyone else, doing it ourselves. It's scary, but courage will take us there.
We the people.
And I'm telling you, right now is the best time to do it. COVID-19 was a blessing. How many people woke up? Half of you, who would not be here if it wasn't for this crisis? Raise your hand, honestly. Seriously.
Come on.
Think about that now. People are showing up in droves, and they will show up in droves when they start seeing more and more people in your hometown. And then you start combining those towns as well. This is how it's done. All we need is one person. Just one person. One person in each town across America, one person in each town around the world. Just one person with the lighthouse, to hold the light up and show I'm here. When you're ready to wake up for freedom, I am here. That's all you have to do. It's you. See how important you are? Just you are. I'm nobody, right? No. You're the solution to what's going on. And all we got to do is relying on each other like we always have in the past. And stop with the division. We're feeding right into their game plan every day. Democrats hate Republicans, are so stupid. We're buying this crap. And they want it. This rigged politics is all rigged. It's all a show to keep us from real solutions. And this is the really only real solution we have, is relying on each other. How important that is.
Yeah.
Taking that commitment. As we unite locally, with strangers, complete strangers, as we unite locally, we destroy the only weapon these New World Orders, these banking cartels, these elites have, is division. They lost. Once we unite, it's over. Done. Nothing else we need to do. Because why? We're doing it every week. We're showing up every week. Every week we're showing up, let them know that we're committed to our sovereignty. We're committed to our children. We're not going to stop every week, and we're going to keep growing. That's how we do it. Weekly. We don't just show up on a one-time march for millions in one place. Every week we're organizing, and we're doing it. We're taking it back, and it's easy. You don't have to drive anywhere. Just wake out of bed, go to your town square for 1 hour. Let me ask you this question. And I want you to really think about this. And I want you to be honest. Would you sacrifice 1 hour a week for the rest of your life? For the rest of your life, if you knew that your family's future would be secured and that their pursuit of happiness would be unhindered? Let me hear it. Yes? Let me hear it. Yes. Do you do it? Yes. 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 1 hour a week. That's all it takes. This whole cabal can fall apart. 1 hour. Do you see it? I'm going to end on this. Never underestimate faith. I truly believe we are powerful, mighty spiritual beings. And I think the best of us and the worst of us are still spiritual beings, even the ones who are trying to take us down. And I believe we're living this human experience for whatever purpose. Many of us, I believe, forgotten what the purpose is. Our connection to God, to a higher power. That unconditional loving feeling that can't be explained. And I think that's okay. I don't think we have to. No. In fact, I think it'd be boring to know the outcome. I think walking out of this room, we know everything's going to be fine. Oh, come on. Where's the challenge in that, right? Knowing the end of the story? Do you hate that when people tell you the end of the movie? No, don't tell me the end of the movie. All right. Well, no, there's no death. There's no death. Our spirit lives on, right? And I think if we, from one spiritual being to another spiritual being, let's do this. Let's show these bastards why we're from the land of the free and the home of the brave. Yes, come on, let's do it. Let's do this. Thank you all. Thank you very much.